Hey, Lisa, just a few more days of getting up early. I don't know. I think I could become a morning person if I had a fun thing to do, like talk to you every morning. I'm not convincing you, am I?
Not at all.
Maybe not six, maybe seven.
You know what? Do set your alarm clock. What is your preferred time on you have nothing to do? Do you set alarm clock?
8 o'clock.
Okay. On a day I have nothing to do, I will set my alarm clock for 7.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done seven some of the time, but 8 o'clock is perfect. 8 o'clock, I wake up just before the alarm goes off. So that tells me that my little
Like,
bod must be ready for that.
yeah. So,
So,
what is your body ready for today? What is our word?
curiosity. And we better tell Pickle to be careful because curiosity killed the cat. But satisfaction brought him back to life again. I've got to tell you, animals. My dog is the most curious animal I think I have ever known. We'll be out for a walk and a garage door will open and she stops and she has to go and see who's in that garage and what are they doing and do they maybe have food or what's. And she'll go into somebody's garage and look around. And if they happen to have their garage door to the house open, she'll go in the house and look around. She is the
Okay, where are
nosiest
you
thing.
during this?
Huh?
Where are you during this whole adventure of your dogs?
Well, okay, I have certain people on my walk where I take her off leash and let her play with their dog.
Okay.
Like down at the corner, there's a dog named Casey, and Casey and Quincy like to run around together. And so I just unhook her harness, and oh my God, she's so naughty. She goes into the garage and wants to see in their car. And then if and they often will leave their door open because they're going in and out and doing things. And it never fails. She's in the house. And I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. Yeah.
Okay, so are you going to write about embarrassing things for your curiosity writing today? Is
No,
that the plan?
no,
No?
no, I don't think so. I think curiosity is, oh, I think it's the heart blood of invention and of new challenges and all those kinds of things. I mean, if just think if you didn't have curiosity, what would you venture into? I mean, how would you even, I don't know. I think I wouldn't breathe very well. I have that's kind
If
of
you didn't have curiosity.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. How about you? What are you going to write about?
I think I'm going to be talking about life coaching because that's
Oh,
kind of one of the main reasons why I'm such a good life coach is because there are 3 things that you want to do or be as a life coach. You want to hold the space for someone.
mm-hmm,
You want to show that person their mind,
mm-hmm.
and overall, over everything that happens or that's talked about, you want to have an air of curiosity. Why are you thinking now? Where do you think that, just all the questions that a coach asks their client. I think that's where I'm going to go.
Okay. Are we
Okay. I
ready?
think we are. Okay.
I think
Ready?
let ah, just a sec. I lost my thing. Now I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
One,
See you in a
two,
bit.
three, start.
Bye. Ah, jeepers. Once I
That
start.
wasn't enough time, was it?
Yes. I went, I've decided something. I made a decisive decision.
A decisive decision, one of
Yes.
those.
I have decided that curiosity is my superpower.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do you
I
know who
like
you take
curiosity.
after?
Who?
Your mother.
Why?
I wrote about your mother. I said I grew up with a sister who's extremely curious. She loves hearing about people's lives and knowing what makes them tick and seeing how
Yep.
they decorate their homes. And I say she's nosy. She just says she's curious.
Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. Yes, you are totally correct. Yes.
Uh-huh, right? Did I peg
Yep.
her?
It
Yeah.
totally pegged her. Like you said, we call her nosy. She just considers herself curious. Yeah, totally.
And-
Absolutely 100%.
I had a person the other day that I was telling a story to, telling about a procedure, something that I learned, and I could tell their eyes were glassing over, and I stopped mid-sentence and I said, "You have no interest in what I'm talking about, do you?" And they said, "No, I'm it doesn't concern me. I don't need to know this information, and I really don't have any interest in listening further." And I
Wow.
said, "Okay then. Thank you very much for being honest." But isn't that interesting? I mean, I don't think I've ever stopped anybody from explaining something,
Hmm.
it's like your dad sometimes goes into detail about how he did something and how he made it work and the process. I find that fascinating. I'm very curious about those things.
I think it's also very, it builds a relationship when you have an interest. I mean, I think curiosity is very closely linked to a caring interest in somebody.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. So tell me why you think that curiosity is your superpower.
Well, I think when I start evaluating where it shows up in my life, I think it's one of the reasons why I became a teacher, not because of I had all this knowledge to impart to students, but because I really enjoyed the process of learning and exploring with the kids.
Hmm.
And that's why I gravitated toward that age group too of first grade.
Hmm.
It's also why I enjoyed being a mom so much. And I
Uh-huh.
think back on the walks that we had together, and they were a great excuse, as I said, to turn over logs, pick up leaves, and collect pretty rocks. And then I would go home, and you can take a picture of like a weed or a rock, and you can do a search, and you can find out what that is just from the image.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that is so cool.
Do you have
And
is that an app?
it's you can get apps that do rocks and leaves and plants and things like that. But I've done it with just like a Google search, a Google image search.
Huh, interesting.
Mhm.
I've got the bush outside my window, and it is one of those things that is just a complete enigma to me because I can cut it back to 4 feet, and right now it's over my roof line. It
Wow.
grows like crazy, and I'm thinking, I'm really curious about what is this bush and why does it grow so well
Sounds
and
like a weed to me.
sounds like a weed to me too. I'm afraid to find out what it is because I'll find I've been nurturing this thing
A
and it's
weed. Yes, yes, exactly. hmm
the
So,
birds like it.
what more do you want? Is it pretty? Do you like it?
Well, it's a little tall right now. I'd like to be able to see out my front window. I'm also curious about what's going on in the neighborhood, and I can't see anything with this
Oh,
big.
are you that neighbor, that old lady who sits like Grandma Doris? She used to be so curious about her neighbors' lives. She would sit there in the recliner and she would do everything from watching TV to having her lunch. She knew everything that was going on in the neighborhood. You wanted to
Yeah.
know, I
Well,
mean,
I'm so
she knew who
seldom
came and
home
went
that
and
much, but I like to see who jogs by and oh, so and so is looking really thin, and they've been jogging every day, and I just that somebody waves, I want to wave back, not be hiding behind my bush. Sure, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but anyway. Yeah, Grandma Doris was innately curious. You know who else was? My mother. Your grandma is. I'd
okay.
come home from work at night and she'd say, Judy, do you have any idea why that man always walks by at 7 o'clock every evening? And I'd say, no, maybe he's just done with dinner and he feels like a good walk to help it settle. And oh no, I think there's something more to it than that.
You know,
But then,
another, okay, keep going.
no, I'm done. That's
Oh,
fine.
I was going to say curiosity is something that I have really been enjoying in working at the garden center right now. For example, orchids. I know little to nothing about orchids. And anytime somebody buys an orchid, and it happened today, I'll say, "Oh, you bought an orchid." I said, "How do you keep it alive. I said, I know next to nothing about people who like plants. They love to talk about plants, it seems. And I must have had a lovely 5-minute conversation with this woman about orchids and how she grows them in the east window. And she's never done the ice cube trick, but she does put them in the sink and let them drip dry. And before she puts them back in the pot, she's never actually, she was just going on, and it was a lovely conversation. And I told her about my mother-in-law buying an orchid one time at Costco, and she was walking out, and I was impressed because my mother-in-law is not necessarily known for her green thumb when it comes to things like orchids. And I said to her, "Wow, Llewellyn, do you know how to take care of that?" And she looked at me in the weirdest way, and she goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, because they're kind of fancy plants, and they take some skill to keep them alive." And she goes, "It's alive?" She thought she had bought a silk orchid. And
Oh
it had petals and stuff on the soil. So it was a real orchid. And she did end up killing it. But anyway.
Oh, that's hysterical. I've got to ask her about her orchid. I'm curious. I'd like to find out what her thoughts were. Yeah. No, I think plants, it's almost like asking someone about their children. You talk about, how do you start small talk? Ask them about their plants. They love
Yes,
talking about that.
yes,
Yep.
it's so much fun. And or I'll say, somebody picked up a mandevilla, and I said, "Now you do know that's a tender plant, right?" And they're like, "Are you serious?" Because it was out in the parking lot area, so it was under hot sun. I said, "Yeah, it's not a perennial, that's a tropical." And they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you no clue whatsoever." I mean, so people are very willing with plants to both give and receive information about plants. It's so much
Yeah.
fun.
Well, I don't think people like to kill plants, so I think they're innately
Not
curious
on
about, is what I'm buying something I can take care of, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things to know, kind of thing. Like I'm curious about, I had a black-eyed Susan growing in my gravel out here where my morning glories are growing, and I dug it up and put it in a pot, and I thought, well, I'll put it back here and I'll have a black-eyed Susan plant back here.
Fine. Yeah.
All but one of the shoots of it went, and I have no idea why, because number one, they're very they don't need a lot of water. They
Okay.
I don't know what I did, but there's
It
only
liked in
one.
the front, not so much in the back.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
learned something. So I'll let you know the story later, how
Please.
it came out.
Okay. So
I think we're
Judy,
good.
I think we are too. And tomorrow, what's our word?
Tomorrow, the 25th, is nourish. Nourish. I like that one. A lot of interesting ways that could go, right?
Words. They're all good, aren't they?
We haven't found a bad one yet. They've all been very, very thought-provoking.
They have been, haven't they? Yeah.
They have. And today
Okay.
we were very curious and it was fun.
Okay. Love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.